All right, so you can see me. That's good. I just want to make sure I can.
All right, we're rolling. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
All
I
right, sweet.
started book 2 of Harry Potter, the Harry Potter series.
So I got to tell you, I am not a a Harry Potter. I shouldn't say I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I just don't know a lot about Harry Potter. I just missed it somehow in my
Yeah,
growing up as a child.
yeah,
I
I
was
can see that.
born in '80, so I'm turning 40 this year. So yeah, I don't know what the time frame was, but I somehow wasn't into it. But it seems like every book is at least 4,000 pages. That is insane.
It's awesome. I'm actually reading it out loud to my bass players' little girls. They're 3 and 6. So
Oh, really?
we're FaceTiming, and I'm reading them a chapter a day.
Oh, cool.
It's
That's cool.
so much fun. It's been so much fun.
How
And
long are you? How long is a chapter?
well, usually like half an hour to
Oh,
40 minutes.
you're a
Yeah.
fast reader
So
then.
that's kind of what I do for my lunch break.
Nice.
I get
Nice.
to see these adorable children who haven't been hardened by the cool, cruel world yet and see their
Mm,
happy, smiling faces.
that's cool. That's cool. I like that. Harry
Oh,
Potter.
okay. Well, we're going to chat real estate today.
Let's do it.
Um,
Um,
Today is May 5th. Happy de Mayo.
oh my God, Cinco de Mayo. Oh
I
my
have
gosh,
some
it is
I
Cinco de
have some
Mayo.
chips and salsa.
Hey, look at that. I have what looks like urine on the camera. It's actually a light beer.
Uh,
Um, God, yeah, I've been so busy today. I haven't even realized that it was Cinco de Mayo until you just mentioned that.
yeah, I only remembered it. I eat chips and salsa almost every day.
No, it's good. My mom used to do that. One of my earliest memories of my mom, she would come home from work and she would literally get chips and salsa out on the island and then like crack a beer. I was like, I
Oh
think
man,
that's pretty awesome. And now, of course, I know that it is amazing. But yeah, so
I love chips and salsa.
it is really good. Uh, so you want to dive in? How do you want to do this?
Yeah,
Because now
let's
you
dive
got
in.
stuff and I got stuff.
Yeah, totally. I'll get started.
Cool.
Um, Share my screen with you here. Wait, you can see that.
Yep. Why the housing market is a powerful economic driver.
Okay. I got to get my notes up because I took notes too. Hold on. I'm still learning all this stuff.
I know. The Zoom.
Okie dokie. So we're going to dive back in here real quick. Um, you can see my screen
Mhm.
share. We're good. Okay. So right now, a lot of people are probably freaking out because we're going to see some pretty sad, serious numbers come out in the next couple of months in regards to the housing market and GDP and just overall and unemployment numbers and stuff like that. So I guess a
Yeah.
lot of part of our job is to help provide people with um, accurate information that isn't necessarily fear mongering, because we know there's a lot of that out there. So we're going to start to see a decline in new home sales. This is not news. The economy definitely has been put on a pause, and those numbers, as they start to roll out over the next couple of months, are going to reflect that. The news on it is going to be really rough, but what we can start looking at is the second half of the year and how real estate will help lead us out of the economic pause. Robert Dietz, the chief economist at the National Association of Home Builders, says the pace of new home sales will post significant declines during the second quarter due to the impacts of higher unemployment and shutdown effects of much of the US economy, including elements of the real estate sector in certain markets. However, given the momentum housing construction held at the start of 2020, the housing industry will help lead the economic and eventual recovery, which I have more slides to support that.
Yeah, there was I was listening to a gentleman today. I think he's with BlackRock, one of these guys that manages literally, I think it was like $2 trillion, something insane. And he made a point that I agree with, and that is, you know, okay, we're gonna have 30 million people out of work at the beginning of next year. You know, your wildest guess on how many people you think are still going to be out of work, and it's going to still be a lot of people. Like all those people that got laid off are not going to all get hired back right away. And so, and it was, and my point is around interest rates, but because he was asked about interest rates, and so he goes, I think the fact that we're going to have so much unemployment, interest rates are going to have to stay low for not. I mean, I was saying for the through the summer into the fall. I think you can just say interest rates are going to be low until the end of next year. I think the 30-year mortgage at 3.5 or lower is just the norm, you know, and I think that is going in when talking about this, he was discussing his favorite sectors and industries, and housing was one of them because of that. So I think, you know, I can tell you firsthand, I'm seeing a lot of buyer action coming back into the market, and even talking to other friends of mine that are lenders in the business, you know, around town, they're like, wow, the buyers are back out and they're going. So I think from a micro level within Northern Colorado, I think it's going to be really good. And I think it'll also be good from a macro level as well. So.
Yeah. Speaking of macro, the average economic impact of one home sale in the United States is $88,416. That's spread out through a lot of different ways. So about $24,000 of that is income generated from real estate industries. $4,600 of that are expenditures related to the home purchase. Almost $14,000 of that is multiplier of housing related expenditures. And then in new home construction, $45,000 of that is impacted by just the new home construction aspect and the things that come along with that.
Like water rights and like probably taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, permits and stuff like
permits.
that.
That's interesting. That's an interesting chart.
And in the state of Colorado, the average economic impact of that is at $123,000. So we have a significantly higher, when you purchase a home, you can expect that to about be the impact of it. Look at, Hawaii.
Texas is 83,000.
Yeah. Hawaii and DC came in at the highest at $185,000 economic impact. So you can see that obviously purchasing a home is this is the economic impact that one home sale has by state. Right. And that also affects states with circling borders as well, because a lot of the building supplies and stuff like that don't necessarily come from in the state in which the home sale is happening. Mm-hmm. So Sam Cater, the chief economist at Freddie Mac, says, although the uncertainty of the crisis means forecasts of economic activity are more unclear than usual, we expect that most of the economic damage from the virus will be contained to the first half of the year. Going forward, we should see recovery starting in the second half of 2020. And the uncertainty that he is mentioning here is coming from economists having to wrangle between three different sciences to predict the economic outcome of this recession. And those three sciences are business science, health science, and social science. So before, when economists are trying to predict what's going on, they're usually only using, they've never really had to take into account the health science and the social science behind it. So the business science behind it is, how has the economy rebounded from similar slowdowns in the past? So that's one piece of it. Mm-hmm. The health science, though, which is particular to this, and something we've never seen before, is when will COVID-19 be under control, and will there be another flare-up of the virus in the fall? how that will affect it. And these things we don't know. All of these things are unknown.
Right.
And then the social science is after businesses are fully operational, how long will it take American consumers to return to normal consumption patterns? That's a lot of unknown variables.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. I mean, when are you going to go to a movie theater again? Not anytime soon.
I didn't
So
even like going to the movies before, so.
yeah. Yeah. You're dead. Yeah. When you have everything streaming right to your home. So
If I don't have to leave my house, I'm good.
yeah.
Okay, but I'm not everybody. My husband loves to get out of the house and go do stuff and be social, and you know, gotta go out there and interact with other humans every once in a while. Okay, so we've got the first look at. Here's an advanced estimate of the GDP. Major financial institutions are calling for a V-shaped recovery.
I can tell you right now, I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it's going to be a little more of an L or a swoosh, like a.
Yeah, L would be the worst case scenario, but I think that is changing. I think we're going to know in the next 2 weeks. By the end of middle of May.
Yeah.
End of May.
May 8th is going to be a big day because that's when the unemployment numbers come out for the sectors that were affected by unemployment. So we're going to know.
Well, you already have 30 million people unemployed. And so I think the number on Friday is going to be, the talk is that will be the bottom-ish. So let's say you get another 5 million. So your number is at 35 million. I think that the percentage that they're looking at is like 17% unemployment is the rate that they think it'll hit and bottom. But and that was just from what I was reading today, but it'll kind of form in the end of May. And then hopefully by June, those numbers will start to turn. But then they can start to turn. But when is like your prior slide about when do you feel like actually comfortable going out and doing something? That's a totally different, situation.
Yep,
So
totally.
anyways.
So how does that relate to housing? Housing supply remains at historically low levels. So house price growth is likely to slow, but it's not likely to go negative. And that's Mark Fleming, chief economist, First American, said that. So, and we've known this for a while, like appreciation might decelerate. And this is in regard to housing prices nationally, but it will not depreciate. And that just strictly goes back to good old-fashioned supply and demand. We have low inventory, and right now we have extremely low inventory because sellers are chilling. They're not in a hurry to get their houses sold. There's not a ton of price drops going on. They're just like, you know what? We're just going to wait for this to blow over, and when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
But as the news headlines start to come out, as the April, May, and June numbers start to roll out, the headlines are going to be dire, and it's going to feel terrible. So that's why we need to take the narrative and educate consumers as to what's really happening in the housing market. Any comments, Chris?
No, I like it.
Okay, so
what is this one?
The impact of COVID-19 to real estate showings in North America. So in this chart, and for those that can't see, we can see that showings really dropped off drastically in the middle of March, and in the middle of April they started to go back up again. Okay, so this chart, this is the amount of people that are scheduling showings. The red line represents below average, as the consumer, as buyers and sellers, are getting used to the new way of looking at and listing their homes. So this curve, this downward curve that we saw, was a lot of people, first of all, reacting to the stay-at-home order, huge, but then people learning how to adapt to that. how they get people in virtually in to see homes to the point where they feel comfortable enough to placing offers. So agents are adopting better technologies to keep the process going. And that's what a lot of people have been doing in the last 6-7 weeks, is learning how to use Zoom, learning how to figuring out who the best virtual platforms are for these things. So how we recover really depends on us.
I think it all depends on whether you go back. I mean, the opening of those restrictions on Monday, I think it was last week, was obviously, that was like the ultimate. You needed to do that. So I think it's just a matter of, hopefully we don't have another outbreak and then we have to go back into not having, showings, in-person showings, and as long as we don't, I think that that's just going to help us so much more. I think it's a huge factor in a lot of this.
Well, and look at this too. So right now is a really good time to list your home. As long as you're following the proper protocols and making sure everyone's safe, you could be exposing yourself to a huge buyer pool, because folks are online looking at listings. And I know we touched on that last week a little bit. I have a few updates. Just, I don't know if you're curious about how the state is requiring showings. Okay. So there's this is from the state. No more than 3 individuals at a showing, no children. Those viewing the home are those who are signing the contract. If there are multi-generational buyers, that's okay, but they will have to wait outside and take turns to view to abide by the no more than 3 rule.
Interesting. Okay.
No more sharing rides. Meet at the property. Everyone practices strict social distancing rules. Showings will be no more than 30 minutes and staggered. So it used to be when you show up to a property and like everyone's there.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Around.
Also, they're asking that we really limit the number of showings to only what is necessary. So getting your buyers to just dial in on the homes that we know they would be willing to make an offer on.
Right.
Right now, the city and state requirement is that everyone wears a mask. Do not touch anything in the home. Cleaning between showings. And here is where it's going to get a little tricky. Because, we're not cleaning crews. We're,
right. I think like doorknobs.
So more clarity on this is going to start to come out, but obviously just doing the best you can. They're saying that you cannot request occupants to leave during the showings. So just asking sellers to maybe just go sit on the patio or something like that while you're showing the house to your buyers. And then you need to keep a log of all showings. If you're scheduling on showing time, you already have a log, but any extra information that you can put in your file is great. Obviously, in regards to this,
you have to submit that to anybody, that log, or is that just?
You have to keep it in your records, and I'm pretty sure that has to do with like if someone were to contract the virus, and they'd have to go back and you'd have to procure that log and show where you had been with that person and what times or days and stuff like that. Originally, my office, RE/MAX Alliance, thought they were going to open on May 4th, but they're postponing it to May 8th. Who knows if that's actually going to happen or not. But the interesting thing is, and I'm sure, and this is going to be a lot of places, is they're going to be taking people's temperature upon entering and leaving the office. And they cannot have more than 50% building capacity at a time. And when you enter the office, you have to wear a mask, take your temperature, and no congregating. And if anyone's wondering, commercial and vacant properties need to be treated the same as all other properties.
Okay.
And
are they telling like which employees can come into the office on which days? to meet that 50% capacity limit?
So the employees are going into the office. This more has to do with agents.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know this, but Boulder said no more showings. Boulder and Denver both said no more showings.
Oh, they're done. You can't do any showings in Boulder or Denver right now?
As of Thursday of last week, that's what I heard.
Okay. Wow.
So that's the updates on just showing guidelines. And again, as things roll out and as things get more clear, there's just so much information and it is changing.
I know.
Pretty quickly. Okay. We're going to go back into, let's be positive. Let's talk about how homeownership is still a wonderful idea. Because it is.
It is. Well, we will end on this. This is just real briefly, and I'll repost it on my LinkedIn account. But this was from our CEO, Sanjeev Das, and it was an article he wrote about how the coronavirus pandemic could forever change home buying and mortgage lending. And it came out today, and I'll just kind of briefly go over it, but it kind of covers 3 different topics on how it could have an impact. And one is the increased use of the digitalization. Another one is delivering customer relief with scale and speed. And then the third is leverage technology to serve borrowers. So I think the first one is, and we are seeing that right now, and I think all these kind of relate to the coronavirus was what kind of pushed us over the edge, but the increased digitalization, this is kind of from the article. He goes, the current crisis has, quote, brought forward some of the internal conversations we were planning to have about how to massively transform the online digitization automated underwriting process for our borrowers. So I think this is all going to move to a faster, more automated process where, hopefully we can close homes in, a few weeks or a few days instead of a month, but and then the second one was delivering consumer relief with scale and speed. And this just kind of goes around, here's another part from this. It goes, as millions of Americans lose their jobs, many are facing the prospect of not being able to afford their mortgages. These homeowners are seeking what is known as forbearance. And so I think he's talking about is we need to, as an industry, be ready to help these homeowners in a time of crisis like this. Have systems in place that are there for emergencies, and this is a great example of that. And then finally, he talked about leverage technology to serve borrowers, and this is just all around the millennials and how they are coming on board. And another little thing he says, while we certainly encourage our customers to call, it's clear that many borrowers, essentially millennials, prefer to interact with us online. So instead of waiting for 45 minutes to an hour to call into a call center, I had a client today. He needed to go into forbearance. I directed him onto our website, and it was a couple clicks of a button, and he got a text message within a couple minutes saying, we have your file and you'll be receiving paperwork in the next 10 business days. And it took, we were on the phone for maybe 3 minutes. So, maybe that's a silver lining that comes out of this. Like I've been saying it forever, as long as I've been doing this for the last 3 years. It's like, it's crazy. We got to go to the closing table and sign a stack of paper that is this big. It's just like, this doesn't make any sense. So anyways, that's kind of what he was doing.
I love it because we're saving all that paper.
Yes, absolutely.
Talking about going back to what you were saying, being more efficient in our protocols. I'm really excited because the transaction software where we organize all of our files digitally is getting upgraded to SkySlope, and my transaction coordinator is super happy because the one I had before wasn't the fanciest.
Okay.
Just being better with your systems, better with your communication, being more efficient, and every single time I get done with a transaction, I'm like, what could we have done better? How can we improve this? What is what holes do we have in this? I know I try not to do it to people the day we close, but hey, next time, let's do this. Da, 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 da. It's like, all right, let's celebrate for a second. But.
Yeah. It's so
okay,
quick,
I'm going to get back and share my screen here. Okay, so US homeownership percentage rates. We're going to touch on that just a little bit. So right now, US homeownership percentage rates are about 65.3%. And it really peaked in 2005 at 69.1%. So what is happening? For the last 4 years, we've seen an increase in home ownership climbing into pre-crash percentages. Why is that important? So right now, homeowners are coming back to the market, feeling more comfortable with using the avenue of real estate to grow their wealth, and just honestly, they're mostly renters. But there has been a slight rise in each age category. But Chris, do you want to guess which one had the highest increase?
Millennials.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. We were just talking about that. So this is from the National Association of Home Builders, a statement that they put out. The number of homeowners increased by 2.6 million, while the number of renter households declined by 0.6 million. Indeed, the number of homeowner households has been climbing since the third quarter of 2015, while the number of renter households has been on a downward trend. This implies that the transition from renting to owning has been a powerful driver of the net increase in households. So we see a growing trend of people becoming homeowners. We know it's coming from people who are renting, and that's a good thing because as a renter, you don't get the same advantages as being a homeowner, such as having the opportunity to refinance, tax breaks that come with it, and other home
right off interest,
like building equity and wealth, little stuff like that. So since 1988, the median asking rent has gone up drastically. One of the driving forces behind that is behind the homeownership percentage rate going up is because the median asking price for rent has been going up. So this is basically why we expect homeownership to continue to grow from here. Also, buyers are coming back to the market. Z Report states that we note that inventory as a percent of households sits at the lowest level ever. Lowest level ever. Inventory. Lowest level ever. Sellers.
It's been like that.
Wondering if it's a good time to sell.
Yeah, it's been like that for a long time, though. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we could go back to 2008 and look at those inventory levels. But so right now, so the March buyer traffic index is, so middle of March was when all this stuff started to really go down. And when they pulled the March buyer traffic index, we're still seeing stable and strong traffic all across the United States. What we don't see is weak buyer traffic. That's good. And then here we have February seller traffic index that was pulled. It is weak in most areas, which we knew was going to happen as a result of the coronavirus. It's strong in 2 states, and that is Wyoming and Alaska. Pretty sure they pay you to live there. I know Alaska.
You're going to get in trouble.
And so, yeah, other than that, they're stable. Most states are weak traffic. Colorado is seeing stable buyer traffic. And oh, wait, what was that last one? Oh, that was February seller traffic was, all that stuff I just said was February seller traffic. This next slide is March seller traffic. So a huge wave of weak seller traffic all across the United States, except for Alaska, Wyoming, Louisiana, and Virginia. You want to talk about rates? So if you're buying
Yeah.
rates are super low. So on a $200,000 mortgage, now granted, these rates depend on your credit. Getting the lowest rate
If you're
depends.
over 750, 760, you're going to get these rates, or a good chance at them, for
Good.
sure. Yeah.
So right now, if you, for a $200,000 mortgage, I'm just going to skip that. We're going to go straight to the $400,000 mortgage because that's realistic to our market here. On a $400,000 mortgage today, if you locked in a 3.25
Yep.
rate, the savings over 30 years would be at just above $63,000 in savings.
But you're comparing that to 4% from December of 2019.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So that is really good.
Can people see these slides?
On the video they will, but not on the podcast. But that's why I put these slides on our Instagram.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all I've got for you in that world. There's going to be a whole ton more information coming out on Friday and the middle of next week as all of the April numbers start to roll out from the Fort Collins Board of Realtors and stuff like that. So.
Gotcha. Cool. What, any closing thoughts? What are your thoughts going into the summer?
It's going to be crazy.
You think
honestly.
so?
I think it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a podcast interview this morning with Lawrence Yun. Is he the chief economist? Yeah. And he was basically saying that the spring buyers market that we usually see, which the spring buyers market just mostly refers to people that have kids that are in school that are waiting for those kids to get out of school before they start to get their house ready and on the market. We're going to see that go into the summer months. So it's going to be a pretty intense summer nationwide, my guess is. And of course, we usually see that in northern Colorado, regardless of a global pandemic. So
cool.
I
think so. I mean, I think so too. I think it's going to be, I hope it is. And so far it is. I keep on saying, we'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen and keep staying busy. So fingers crossed. And
then you and I have an article coming out in the Real Producers magazine in June.
I know.
That we had to write a month ago. So
I know. Well, I edited mine because I was like talking more like the mortgage industry was kind of going crazy. And so I had to edit my article when she sent it to me the other day, but I just approved the final version today.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it'll be good. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. So, okay. Well, I'll catch you next week.
All right. See ya.
Okay. Bye.